Many Nigerians have taken on the Tinubu's government for fearfully aborting the meeting with Donald Trump. Now, take a look at this headline that Nigerians are heavily reacting to. And it says, breaking, Tinubu fearfully aborts Washington trip. Lobbies to meet Trump at G20 summit scheduled for November 22nd in South Africa. Nigerians are wondering why Tinubu cancelled the meeting with Trump in the United States. Rather, he prefers to meet with Trump in South Africa, considering the fact that Trump has initially announced that he will not be attending this meeting in South Africa. Like you can see the evidence here, it says Donald Trump announces he will not be flying to G20 summit in South Africa since September 5th. Donald Trump made it clear to everybody that he will not be in that meeting, and Nigerians are wondering why the Tinubu's government suddenly decided to take that venue and that date to meet Trump when they know that Trump will not be there. And many people are saying that it's just because they are very, very scared of Trump. That is why. And Tinubu does not want to go to the United States where he's going to be taking, questions and be asked questions by the media. So he doesn't want all that. Now, there's this other headline on the social media that says, breaking, it was APC that went to the US to report the country to the United States government, in 2014 about Christian killing. They made the US to start documenting such cases. From then till now, Sambo journalist is saying this, that the APC is the one that initially went to report Nigeria to the United States government, so that the government will come after the country. Now, since then, America has been taking notes of everything happening in Nigeria, and we've seen tweets where Tinubu condemned killings under the Jonathan's regime, and now they are saying it's a lie. And also, people have been wondering why the Sultan of Sokoto has been so silent. Haven't been known to be somebody who condemned any attack on Boko Haram, and now that the evidence is everywhere, the buying of Christians, the Sultan is quiet. I'm just going to allow you to take a look at the moment when the US media houses, interviewed some people on what is going on in Nigeria. In short, one of them was a victim who was equally kidnapped by Boko Haram. Just take your time and watch this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
Adamu is a Nigerian Christian who was kidnapped by Boko Haram 2 years ago. He joins us now. It's so wonderful to have you on the show. Please tell us what happened to you.
It was such a disheartening situation. 2 years ago, I was kidnapped by the dreaded Boko Haram along my way to the airport while I was traveling to Cameroon to meet some of my colleagues, and then I got kidnapped along the line, along the route.
And you were held for how long?
12 days.
Okay. And there are many people, especially young girls, who have been kidnapped by Boko Haram, put into forced marriages, forced conversions. They're still in captivity. The situation there is quite dire. You heard what President Trump has said. Here's what Nigeria's president has said in response. He said that the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians. What's your message? What's it like to be a Christian in Nigeria?
First, I want to thank and applaud the United States of American President Donald Trump for designating Nigeria as a CPC, because this is one of the things that we have always wanted. For the message of the Nigerian president, that I think at this point, I will say that there is a time when propaganda has no appeal, where propaganda has lost an appeal. And this is actually the time, because whatever is happening in Nigeria at this moment, I will say that Nigeria is the worst place to be as a Christian, like the worst place in the whole of the world to be as a Christian, because we wake up every day with news of killings. Every day with news of massacring of Christians. It's totally a genocide that is happening here in Nigeria. There is nothing anybody will tell me, because I have been in here for as long as I know. I've been in these places where these attacks have taken place. I've seen women who are crying for the loss of their husbands. I've seen children who are crying for the loss of their parents. I've seen parents who are crying for the loss of their children. I've been to churches that have been burnt down. These are not things that I've heard from the news or someone telling me. This is something that I witnessed somewhere. I've been myself. I've witnessed where terrorism is at the highest point, where people are killed and slaughtered like chickens every day.
Paul, I don't have a lot of time left, but I just want to ask you one last question. How have you and other Christians kept the faith during this persecution?
We are grateful for the organization I work with, Irish Global, who have taken it upon themselves to care for these persecuted Christians by providing relief materials, emergency kits, and then also providing them with discipleship, where they are being told that despite all that is happening to them, Christ still loves them.
Paul Adamu, just so you know, the African church, the Nigerian church in particular, the Christians there have been an amazing example of faith through persecution and martyrdom. And we are praying for all of you very much. And we hope the president will do something that will make a difference for your religious freedom in your country. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it, and God bless you.
Larry Medowo is with me now. So, Larry, tell me about the reality of what's happening in Nigeria.
Victor, these attacks are down to terrorism. Nigeria's population is evenly split between Christians and Muslims, and the attacks target both Christians and Muslims. And that's what Nigeria has been trying to say. A lot of this has been bubbling under in MAGA circles on the U.S. right, because it was an issue among some Christians in Nigeria. Boko Haram, which is a terrorist organization that operates in Nigeria's North Islamic State in West African province, they have carried out a lot of attacks. In some states, more Christians are killed. In other states, more Muslims are killed. And this is an issue that even President Trump's own senior African advisor, a Lebanese-American businessman who made his fortune in Nigeria, spoke about and dismissed. Watch.
People of all religions and all tribes are dying as a result of terrorist acts, but it's very unfortunate. We even know that Boko Haram and ISIS are killing more Muslims than Christians. So people are suffering from all sorts of backgrounds. This is not specifically targeted about one group or the other. However, any loss of life is too many. One is too many.
Victor, this has been a decades-old problem. It's about competition for resources between herders, who tend to be mostly Muslim, and Christians, who tend to be farmers. It's about cattle wrestling. And yes, there's a religious angle to it, but it does not rise to the level of a genocide or a mass slaughter.
Okay, so we heard there from an advisor to the president. What's the Nigerian government saying about these attacks?
The Nigerians are alarmed by President Trump's threat of sending troops to Nigeria. They say they have not heard from official diplomatic channels. All they have seen are the posts from President Trump on Truth Social and the Secretary of War, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, saying that they are ready. But before this latest threat came through, this is what President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria said. The characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians. And President Tinubu added that Nigeria is working with the United States government and the international community to deepen understanding and cooperation on protection of communities of all faiths. But the big thing here, Victor, that the possibility of U.S. troops on a sovereign soil in Nigeria to stamp out terrorists.
Larry Medowo reporting from London. Thank you so much.
Now, let me start with you, Captain Bish. Now, given the declaration by President Trump, now what immediate diplomatic implication does that have, especially on our relation with the U.S., both countries, sovereign states?
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for having me. Let me begin this way. The truth of the matter is that we have security challenge in Nigeria. The truth of the matter is the fact that the security problem we have in Nigeria has been ongoing for nearly 2 decades. Fact, government is taking action to deal with the problem. Fact, has the problem been solved? Of course not. People are still being killed. Either they are kidnapped, their villages are ransacked, they are burnt. And this information is not only here in Nigeria. People in Washington, D.C., trust me, they know what is going on in Nigeria. They know what is happening in Nigeria, probably more than a lot of people in this country know. If there is no evidence to that, you should look to the WikiLeaks leaks that took place. You see that U.S. has this broad intelligence infrastructure that they can gather clandestinely intelligence from almost every country on the planet. What is going on there? Now, what is it? immediate diplomatic implication. The implication, of course, is that, look, this offers Nigeria an opportunity to have an honest and genuine diplomatic discussion with this current administration. This administration, this U.S. administration, is like no other administration. It's even not like the Trump, what they call Trump 1.0, where he had experienced diplomats and the military officers that were advising him. This Trump 2.0 is completely different, right? This is an administration that shoots first before he asks questions. The previous time, he will ask questions before he will shoot. Now, we've had these challenges for a very, very long period of time. You had President Muhammad, before Muhammad Buhari, you had Goodluck Jonathan for 6 years. Now you have Buhari for 8 years. Now this current administration is now barely 2 years or 2 years. So if I'm one of those advising the current administration, as far as diplomacy is concerned, I would tell him not to try to take ownership of the previous administrations. I will not take ownership of Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammad Buhari's administration, because everybody know that they failed in dealing with the problem. I will only talk about my 2 years that I have been in office. Okay, and ask that, look, and this is what I have, and let Washington know that, look, this is within these 2 years, short period of time that I've been in office, these are the steps that we have taken to deal with this problem. But these are the challenges that we are facing. How can you come in to help us in dealing with these challenges? And not to dismiss that we don't have all these problems, because everybody knows that we have these problems in Nigeria. It's public notice.
Indeed, everybody understands that this is the challenges that Nigeria faces. And that's why you see some Nigerians publicly, applauding or welcoming Trump's comments, not because they endorse this foreign interference, but because they feel helpless, they feel unheard at home. What does that reaction reveal about public confidence in Nigeria's security leadership?
Well, you see, it's also a fact that the confidence and trust of the public in their government in Nigeria has been declining for years. Because, and this is driven mostly by the inability and the failure of, several administrations. Not this one, particularly the administrations that were before this, to have run in this insecurity that we're talking about. Everybody knows that it is the first order of business of any government is protection of lives and property. When any state fails to do that, then that state has failed in its responsibility. I have had people make the argument that this is a sovereign nation, the U.S. cannot come in. I agree, it's a sovereign nation. Now, within that sovereignty, there's also what is called the responsibility to protect. And that is that every sovereign nation must be able to protect all of its citizens and different classes of citizens. And where that sovereignty fails to do so, that international community has a responsibility to go there and protect those endangered class of people.
Okay. The honest truth is that people are dying in Nigeria. And it is very unfortunate that the government that is responsible for ensuring that there is safety for life and for property has not been able to provide that to Nigerian people. Now, President Donald Trump has decided to step in. A lot of people might view it as an overreach, which you might want to say is true. However, the fact remains that Nigerians are dying, and our government appears to be complicit in the list over this issue. And it is now become a global issue. So we're hoping that President Tinubu will take actions that will at least quell the issue. One of which I expect is there needs to be a high level of arrest, because it is completely impossible that the DSS does not have names of people who are sponsoring these attacks. We might want to say, there are Muslims that are also being killed, because I've had conversations. I grew up in the north. I lived in Jos, and one of the reasons why I left Jos was because of the crisis. So it is very unfair when people say, oh, there's also killings of Muslims, which is true. But there's also the issue that some of these killing of Muslims are liberal Muslims. However, this is completely irrelevant. What is important is the Nigerian government tackling the issue. It is over 10 years now. Over 10 years. Nigeria Army led ECOMOG in West Africa to ensure that there was peace brought back to Liberia and in Sierra Leone. So Nigerian military is not inadequate to tackle Boko Haram or whatever military said. So what I think is very important and crucial right now is for President Bola Tinubu to first and foremost revoke any form of amnesty going to the Boko Haram members. And secondly, we need a high-profile arrest. I believe that this will quell the issue to a very large extent and at least give a sense to the global community that something is currently being done to resolve the issue. But if the APC government thinks that they're going to resolve this with some level of propaganda, or going to, like I was listening to the Senate president the other day when he was like, oh, they need to have a team go to the US to tell them that, oh, this is not just a Christian genocide, that people are just dying and people are being killed. I don't think that's acceptable. I think what needs to be done is there needs to be some level of high-profile arrest. There needs to be a revocation of the amnesty given to Boko Haram. And lastly, it is important that those who have been sent into IDP camps begin to return homes and the government supports them to rebuild their communities and restart their lives.
Yes, Mr. Ode, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, you have also mentioned that you actually lived in Jos, you know, yes, the capital of Plateau State, where it has been a subject of these attacks for many, many years historically. And then you've mentioned IDP camps as well. I visited a few in Maiduguri and in Borno states generally, where I got to see a lot of Nigerians displaced and housed there for calling IDP camps homes for many years. So this conversation is really, really timely and sensitive as well. You would imagine that this threats from the U.S. President, the U.S. Department of War, the senators in the U.S., this, as you would imagine, over the weekend, the last 2 days, has unsettled Nigeria to a very large extent. But there are those who argue that there is a political undertone to Mr. Trump, and they say that this is not unconnected, or can't be pushed away from, or not connected to the 2027 elections, and that's the argument for some of them. The fact that it looks like because there is an election just around the corner, and whenever there's an election, we always get to see these kind of interests and you know, play out. So I wonder how you'd respond to that. What exactly perhaps is the interest of U.S. President Mr. Donald Trump in this matter at this time? There's some also question the fact that we see there is some sort of agreement and compromise between U.S. President Donald Trump and the presidents of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky as well, where we understand maybe some of the natural resources in Ukraine, you know, the U.S. would somehow have to explore some of their natural resources, and they say perhaps there's some sort of interest as well in our natural resources as well here. How do you respond to some of these arguments?
Again, if we want to discuss natural resources, it's a global market. Everybody has interest. The duty of Mr. President Donald Trump is to protect American interests all over the world. It is his responsibility, and I feel he's doing his job and he's doing it right. The problem we are having is our president protecting our interests? Is our president protecting our interests? The fact remains that whether we like it, whether we don't like it, there is a major issue. The minerals in the far north, there's a lot of mineral resources in the far north, but I believe it's an open market. And anybody who has interest, we're more than happy to have Americans come and trade with us. We're more than happy to have Chinese trade with us. So that is the least of our problem. But the fact is that Mr. Donald Trump has a responsibility to protect American interests. President Tinubu also has a responsibility to protect Nigerian interests. So at the end of the day, we can all come to the table and discuss.
Yes.
And when an issue of an election comes up to 2027, it doesn't negate the fact that Nigerians are being killed. And the government has not, in the last 10 years, been able to identify or hold anybody accountable for the killing of Nigerians. And it is even more sad that the Senate president came and sat down and said that yes, Nigerians are being killed, but it is not just Christians, that both Muslims are equally killed. And in my opinion, it's beginning to look as if it's a genocide against the poor. Because if you take the stock of the people who are being killed, it looks like it's just poor Nigerians who are living in rural communities. And whether we like it, whether we accept it, the fact is that it is Muslims, extreme Muslims, extremist Muslims, that are perpetrating these crimes. And it is not possible that these people are not funded by some interest, wherever or whoever they are. But I know for a fact that the Nigerian government knows who is funding Boko Haram. I also know for a fact that the US will probably have intelligence on what is also going on. So let us act right. It is long overdue. Mr. President, my appeal is take action, revoke whatever amnesty that is being given to the Boko Haram people. This is not the time to discuss amnesty. First and foremost, let us get the people in IDP camps back to their homes. Let us fund them to restart their lives. Then we can begin to discuss de-radicalization if and only when peace returns.
We're going to take you through some of the reactions from Nigerians as regards to this video. You know, the Tinubu's government tried to hurt the Jonathan's government, but guess what? They ended up hurting themselves. They went to the USA, reported to Obama, forgetting that all these things were being documented, and now it is very clear that it's now wanting to hurt them, but they are trying to play down on it. Now, take a look at this video. This one say, now them be this hating on Jonathan government for their own mind. Now water don't use back enter snake mouth. APC and Tinubu, carry your cross, you nailed it. Carry your cross, you nailed it. And this other person said, these people are giving me serious headache. The very issue that used to hijack power, they are now claiming it does not exist. And this person say, if you want to eat with the devil, use a long spoon. APC lay a bed with US, and they should be ready to lay on it. And this other person here said, the APC prepared 2024. The food APC prepared 2024 is now ready to be served. Situation change. This is like the prayer back to sender. Another person here, just watch this. I think it's a YouTube with a pelvic health expert. All women should see this. Super interesting. Anyway, this is not part of the video we are talking about. This person say utterly psychophants, nonsense, and their hypocrisy. Now, this is a video of an APC man saying they went to the US to report Jonathan so that the Obama's government should arrest Jonathan over the insecurity in Nigeria. Now, this was what they used to hijack power, and now it is coming back to hurt them. So, guys, a whole lot is happening in this country, and that's why people are reacting that the APC actually did this to hurt Jonathan, and now it is coming after them. Anyway, let's take more reactions to people who are criticizing Tinubu for cancelling the trip he was supposed to have with the US government. Like you can see here, this person say, now FBI customer, an FBI customer can never attract respect from Trump. He should get back and work to end terrorism and stop looking for how to promise Trump for some deals. These people are saying Tinubu should just go and earn security. Stop looking for Trump. Looking for Trump doesn't make any sense. Just tell Trump, okay, I'm back to work. I'm going to end it. Give me 10 weeks, give me 2 weeks, give me 5 weeks, and let's see what will come out of it. That's what Nigerians expected. This person said Trump's gone on Nigeria. Why the world sees Christian genocide, but Abuja calls it fake news. Let's talk about hypocrisy and selective blindness. When Donald Trump spoke about Christian genocide in Nigeria, the global elite called it controversy, but tells me what's controversial about speaking the truth. Churches are being burned, villages are wiped out overnight, farmers are slaughtered on their field. Yet Abuja says it's fake news. You see, this guy is saying all these things are happening, but they call it fake news. And this person saying, how many times will Nigeria bury their loved ones before the government admits there's religious war going on? How many pastors, women, children must die before someone calls it what it is by name, jihad against Christians? The same government that pardons and rehabilitates Boko Haram fighters refuses to compensate victims like living like beggars in IDP camps. Hey, this is touching, honestly. Abuja will host fancy conference, call it peace and unity, but silent screams from Benue, Plateau, Kaduna, Taraba. Trump might be hated by the media, but he was one of the few world leaders who dared to say it loud. Christians in Nigeria are being haunted. He saw what Abuja doesn't want the world to see, and there's a quiet genocide happening under the cover of herder-farmer conflict. Why is it hard for Nigerian government to protect its own citizens? Why the endless denial? Why the silence from those who swore to an oath to defend every Nigerian life, Christian or Muslim? You can't jail journalists, censor reports, or call every truth fake news, but blood doesn't lie, graves doesn't lie, and history will remember who stood with the victims and who called this suffering a hoax. So guys, these are some of the reactions from Nigerians. Let me know your honest reaction in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.